and welcome to Wellbeing, your wellness talk show that is designed to keep you health conscious. I am your host. My name is Mary Joseph, and today we are going to be beaming our searchlight on a very important topic. All around the world drug problem is a complex issue that affects millions of people worldwide, and people who use drugs face stigma and discrimination, which can further harm their physical and mental health and prevents them from accessing the help that they need. The United Nations Office of Drug and Crime, UNODC, recognizes the importance of taking a people-centered approach to drug policies with a focus on human rights, compassion, and evidence-based practices. And that is why the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, popularly called World Drug Day, is marked on 26th of June every year to strengthen action and cooperation in achieving a world free of drug abuse. The theme for this year's celebration is People's First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention, and the aim of this year's campaign is to raise awareness about the importance of treating people who use drugs with respect and empathy, by providing evidence-based voluntary services for all, by offering alternatives to punishment, prioritizing prevention, and leading with compassion. And that is why today on the show I have my guest, and we would be talking more about this particular issue. But in the meantime, please do well to follow us on all our social media platforms at Spectrum Television, or you can visit our website at spectrumtv.ng to be a part of the family. But before then, let us quickly take the short break. We'll be right back.
Good health, they say, is something you can't buy. But the decision to live healthy is a choice that you'd have to make. Join health practitioners from diverse health fields as they provide you with vital information to help your day-to-day health decisions on Wellbeing, your wellness talk show. Wellbeing airs every Monday, 7 to 7:30 p.m. only on Spectrum TV.
You're welcome back to the show. It's still the program Wellbeing, your wellness talk show that is designed to keep you health conscious. Do remember to follow us on all our social media handles at Spectrum TV, or you can visit our website at spectrumtv.ng to be a part of the family. Today we have a distinguished guest. She is Ms. Favor Umoinang, and she is the project officer for drug-free and preventive healthcare organization, that is DAFO, which is a community-led and focused organization, and together we will be discussing the theme People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, Strengthen Prevention, as we all join hands with the rest of the world to mark the World Drug Day. It's good to have you join on the program, Ms. Favor.
You're welcome.
All right, so as we begin to join hands with the rest of the world to mark this year's World Drug Day, with the theme People First, Stop Stigma and Discrimination, and Strengthen Prevention, what would you say is the significance of this year's theme?
Okay, I'm talking about, this year's theme is addressing raising awareness against stigmatization against people who use drugs. So it's really focusing on people first. Okay, so about people first, it's giving us understanding, like, let's focus on people, before they became drug users, before they started engaging in drug use, they're already human beings. So the United Nations is really focusing on general population, looking at people first, like showing empathy, understanding from their own points, asking them questions like why are they engaging in drug use, and what are those things that could help her stop using drugs. So how we can cope and how we can combat stigmatization is using language, promoting language and attitudes that are respectful and non-judgmental for people who use drugs.
So now let's come back to our society. When we talk about people who use drugs, there is something associated with it, and that is stigma and discrimination. How do you think
help is just seeing them as people that they are? Number one, seeing them as people that they are, understanding from their own points, and using promoting language and attitude that are non-judgmental and respectful. That's how we combat stigma and discrimination. Seeing them as human beings who like they have rights to make decisions for themselves, even in the healthcare settings. Many of them face stigma and discrimination by healthcare professionals. So being able to the healthcare in the healthcare settings, being able to see people who are using drug like people too, not attributing all their maybe illnesses, maybe from should I say they may have stomach ache and then they may have minor injury, maybe from accident or something. And healthcare professionals seeing a drug user as human being, not attributing everything that is happening to him or her to drug use. That is how to first combat stigmatization. Seeing them as people too, not using wrong words. Like already, using the word addiction is a stigmatizing word. It's wrong to use addiction. Instead, you could use something like drug dependence, like someone is dependent on drug. So we at some point we all suffer from one problem or the other. Then they are having drug problem, and we should first see them as they are sick people. If we see them to be sick people, and then we'll come to understanding that they only need help, support, advice, and guidance, not to stigmatize against them.
So now let's look at your journey through first. Could you share some success stories or initiatives where this approach has been effectively implemented to support individuals struggling with drug addiction and promoting their recovery?
Okay, thank you. And that's basically putting people first is basically what we do on a daily basis. It's the harm reduction program implemented by my organization, Drug Free and Preventive Healthcare Organization. So the harm reduction program focuses on people first, looking at people and trying to help them first, and seeing from their own point of view, understanding why they are using drugs, and maybe asking to know those things would help them reduce dependency and even stopping it finally. So in harm reduction services, in harm reduction program, we do not judge people who use drugs. Whereas we look for approaches like to be close to them, asking them questions, let them share their experiences and what could be done to help them reduce dependency as well as living a drug-free life.
It is crucial to address the root cause of drug abuse and also addiction. Now, coming to our own society, in your own opinion, what are the primary factors that contribute to the initiation and perpetuation of drug use, and how we all can address them effectively?
Okay, there is no particular theory that states the real causes of drug use. So, but there are some factors that enhance this the initiation of drug use and abuse. Those factors are environmental factors, family factors like maybe living in a household, living in a house that household members are already using drugs, and also parents who are using drugs, uncles and relatives that are using drugs would put maybe adolescents and young adults at the risk of using drugs, and also in environment, peer pressure. And also, physical and sexual abuse can also put someone at risk of using and abusing drugs. Even stress and psychological problems can also put someone in the place of using and abusing drugs.
Education plays a vital role in prevention, according to some experts. How can we enhance drug education programs to ensure that they are informative, including
that introducing drug education in secondary and even primary school curriculum would go a long way. And right now, the Akwa State Drug Control Committee also has a mandate of reaching out, taking in information and communication and every information about drug use and abuse and how to prevent in young people from using drugs, safety information, education and communication in the rural and urban communities.
Stigma often prevents individuals from seeking help for drug addiction. what can be done to create an environment, because that is very, very important, where seeking treatment and support is encouraged and accessible to everyone without even the fear of judgment, fear of discrimination, or fear of being criminalized?
Okay, yes, that could be done through advocacy to law among people that are using drugs, because even then they are also self-stigmatized. Some of them might have one problem, suffering from one problem or the other that may not even be related to drugs. But already since they feel that if they go out to want to access health services, okay, they will be stigmatized and oh, they may feel they'll be rejected. So among the government and other organizations, I would recommend providing answers that allow people to have their own consent to even opt in on and have the right to opt out of
plays a very significant role in shaping public's perception and attitude towards drug users. So to you, how can media organizations contribute to the goal of reducing stigma and discrimination associated?
Okay, to the best of my knowledge, I know that media organizations are all projected by human beings. So if we are able to, if everyone will be working in the media organization assistance, then we will be able to, or the media organizations, also people that are projecting, they'll be able to promote a compassionate approaches to reduce stigma and discrimination among people who use and abuse drugs.
So what kind of approach would
you? First, it must first start from myself and yourself, from one person, from one family member. Approach of no discrimination, like if you have two children and one is using drug, the other one is not using drug. Approach of treating both of them, about drug treatment and all this and all that. It could just be that a treatment that the drug user needs, it could just be help. It could just be assistance. It could be just a simple support, like bringing yourself down to their level. I mean, sitting at where they are sitting, asking them few questions. It could go a very long way. So that is the approach the United Nations is really advocating. I want everyone to see that's it.
Okay, so now let's come down to the government level. When discussing drug policies, what changes or reforms would you recommend to ensure that they align with the theme of this year's celebration, People First? And
to imprisonment by decriminalization of drug use, stopping incarceration of people who use drugs, people who have drugs for personal use. Instead, we should promote the government should help in providing service centers, rehabilitation and treatment centers for people who use drugs. Because for some time, for ages now, the arrest, detention, drug seizures to be able to maybe stop drug use, but it has not stopped it. So now we are not really looking at that. We are changing it out.
Okay. So the theme for this year's celebration also highlights preventive efforts. Now, what are some innovative approaches or evidence-based programs that have shown promising results in preventing drug use amongst vulnerable populations such as youth and marginalized communities? Because I've actually heard about the needle syringe program and also the harm reduction approach. So what do you think should be done?
Okay, what I think should be done is already what I'm doing, what we are doing at GAFO right now, harm reduction services, to be able to give information, educate people who are using drugs, and understand from their own point of view, giving them information on how to reduce drug dependency and even stopping it in the long run, because it's not stopping drug is not although few persons might say I just stop, but it's a chronic relapsing medical condition. So harm reduction understands that it might not just happen in one day. So we give them time, we understand them, and then we give them support that are necessary for them to be able to control and even stop their drug use.
So now let's come back to DAFO. Now you're actually currently operating here in Akwa Ibom State, and your main focus is women who use drugs. How is the perception from women towards this particular initiative?
Some of them might be, some of them have been suffering from one illness or the other, but they do not have access to health services. maybe because they feel that if as they are going out to access health services, they will be rejected because they are using drugs. So they really wrong where they congregate to use drugs. And even in house, we even reach out to household, to family, to family members and people that are using drugs even in their houses.
So finally, let us just wrap up with this particular conversation. How can individuals and even the general public as a whole, as a society, actively contribute to the goal of stopping stigma and discrimination and even strengthening drug prevention efforts? What actions do you think we can all take to create a more inclusive and supportive environment for those affected by drug addiction?
Okay, and the action that everyone should take is just showing empathy, understanding that this is as just as this testing is people first, understanding that this is people, this is human being. So seeing and allowing them to make decisions for themselves. For example, if a drug user wants to maybe learn a trade, then he or she is supposed to and expected to make what it is supposed to do is to support them, is to respect them, is to hear out their voice, hear them speak and listen to them. So, and understanding them in that level will help us to combat stigmatization among people who use drugs.
Thank you so much, Ms. Favor Umoenang, for a preventive healthcare organization, DAFO, who is currently operating here in Akwa Ibom State, and we were highlighting the significance of the World Drugs Day and the theme on how we all can effectively combat and stop stigma and discrimination associated with drug use and addiction in our society. Thank you so much for being a part of the conversation.
Thank you, Sue.
All right, so that concludes today's episode of Wellbeing, and thank you so much for being a part of the conversation. Remember that you could also be a part of this family by following us on all our social media platforms.